Hey guys, I hope everybody had a great holiday. I had an awesome time with my family, my friends. We all had a fantastic time and I love this time of year. It's just a very special time for me. So I hope everybody had a great holiday and a happy new year, depending on when you're watching this video. As you can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about my favorite books of 2015. This year I had a great reading year and I have plenty of books to talk about. I narrowed it down to 10. Most of these books will come as no surprise to people that have been watching my channel for a while because I've either reviewed these books or just gushed about them in previous videos. So anyway, I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to just talk about them in no particular order, just whatever is next on this pile I have in front of me. The first one I have here is Misery by Stephen King. I read this in October for Halloween. As one of my spooky reads, and I immediately thought about this book when I was making this list because of the experience I had while reading it. It was just so much fun to read. I couldn't put it down, and even though it was disgusting to read some of the things in this book, the character of Annie and even the character of Paul, I just really loved being immersed in this book, and I really enjoyed it. The next one I have here is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. I read this in the beginning of the year. Ever since I read this memoir, I just have not found another memoir that comes close. It was just that good. It's so readable. It's, you know, such a hard subject and a hard situation that we're reading about, but it's still a book that you want to keep reading. I recommend this memoir to anybody that is not sure about the memoir genre or you've never read a memoir before. This is a great one to start with because it just hooks you from the beginning. The next one I have here is The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz. I read this recently for Hispanic Heritage Month and I absolutely loved it. I really connected with this book. I connected with the culture of Oscar Wilde and his family, and it was just such a joy to read and such an important book. If you're Hispanic, you definitely need to pick this book up. Even if you're not Hispanic, you're going to enjoy it. Obviously, it's a very popular book, but for some reason, it just really connected with me. There was just something about this story and these characters that just hit me. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed reading this one. The next one I have here is The Martian by Andy Weir. This was an amazing, fun, just interesting read. Mark Watney, the main character, is just such an inspirational character who just never gives up and always just pushes through, and you just want to root for him from the very beginning. There's just so much fun dialogue and just funny moments and moments where you're really wondering if he's going to make it back home, and I don't know, it was just so much fun to read. I watched the movie and I really enjoyed it. I think the book is funnier than the movie, but I think that they did a great job. If you've seen the movie and you don't know if you should pick up the book, I highly recommend that you do. It's totally worth it, and it does deserve all of the hype that it's gotten so far. The next book that I have here is Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. This book kind of blew me away. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. This is a story of Agnes, who was the last woman to be executed in Iceland, and this book is pretty much her side of the story and what led up to that point of the murders and what happened afterwards, and it's just such a gripping read. Hannah Kent has just it's just a way to put you in this setting and create this atmosphere that there's like dread and just this heaviness to it, and it just goes perfectly with the story. I just loved it. The next one I have here is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This is a story of 100 years of one particular family over 5 or 6 generations. I loved everything about this. I love the characters. I love how Marquez is able to weave in magical realism in his stories and have it feel like it was like that all along. He's just a master at creating different voices and different characters and putting them in these weird situations and then having it all magically work. That's a particular talent that not a lot of people have, and I really enjoyed this book. Highly recommend it if you've never read anything by Marquez, and it's made me want to read everything else that he's ever written. The next book that I have here is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I read this recently, and I think I mentioned in my wrap-up, this has easily made its way into my top 10 favorite books of all time, and it's true. This is definitely a masterpiece, and there's just so much going on in it, so many layers, so many characters that just jump out of the page at you. The way it's written and pieced together, it was just an amazing experience reading this book. You read the last sentence and you're like, how did he do it? How did Steinbeck write something so large and vast and still bring it down to your level. It's definitely a book that takes some commitment. It's not small. There's a lot of characters to keep track of. It's not perfect. There are some moments where it's kind of preachy and just some things are a little too simple or too simplified, but there are other moments that just make up for all of that. And to me, it just elevates this book. I don't know. I cannot stop raving about this book. I hope one day I can do a review on this and do it justice. But right now, obviously, as you can tell, I can't really talk about it very well. I hope to get to that point sometime in the future. The next book is Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I did a review on this book. This was my first novel by Adichie, and it made me fall in love with her and her writing style. I also read Half of a Yellow Sun by her, and I wanted to make that into the list or put that one in my list as well. But at the end of the day, if I had to really compare the two and recommend just one, this would be the one that I would recommend. Like I said, I did a full review on this, so I'm not going to talk too much in detail. Just watch that review if you're interested in knowing about what this book is about and why I liked it so much. But definitely one of my favorites of this year. Okay, next I have The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is another book that I just haven't been able to really stop thinking about. It's a book that I know I'm going to reread in the future. I know I'm going to want to get lost in the story again. It was just beautifully written and tragic. A huge twist at the end that made me like, it was definitely an experience reading this book and having that twist and kind of not knowing where the story was going to go from there. I did a review on this. I'll link it down below if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about the story. I cannot recommend it enough if you're into historical fiction, if you are a lover of books and stories, if you love a good twist and beautiful writing. If you're into any of that, I highly recommend that you pick this up. So definitely this one made it to my list of favorite books. And last but not least, surprise, surprise to absolutely nobody, is the Lord of the Rings series. I have the Fellowship of the Ring here because it's my favorite book of the entire series. It took me way too long to get to this series, and I'm really happy that I finally did, that I read all of the books and got lost in this magical world that Tolkien created. Definitely going to be a series that I'm going to be rereading for years to come. One of my favorite series of all time, etc., etc. I don't want to bore you any longer. It was amazing, and I'm really glad that I finally read it and I can just take that off my list of things to do. So those are all of the books that I wanted to share with you. My top 10 favorite books of 2015. If you've read any of these books and you want to discuss them with me in the comments, please feel free. I would love to gush about these books with you. I hope everybody had a great holiday. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the new year. Bye-bye.